Hello, all of you out there in chat. We're going to do a real quick sound test because I just kind of put this thing together and we have not, Frost and I have not streamed together doing this since my new setup. So, Frost, say something.
I'm going to say something and hopefully I can be heard or...
Hey, look at that. It works. It works. All right. So, welcome to Legend Keepers. This is our Legend Seeker stream where we write lore together and do Q&As, answer questions, all of your pressing questions. And then Frost usually has a laundry list of questions that he's been saving up to clarify and ask as he's writing his text. So I'll probably get bombarded by a lot of those too. And I am Erudi. I am the creator and author of the Legend Seeker property and IP, as well as the Seeker's Rulebook, which is our player's rulebook and bestiary. And I am here with Frost, my co-author, who is writing the companion, the setting guide, if you will. How's it going, Frost?
Oh, it's going well. If only I didn't have a snowstorm hitting me right now. After a day of rain and thunder and lightning.
Wow, you're getting it all. What god did you anger?
I don't know. Power kept going out today, so I was having fun going to meetings, and then it stayed on, and then suddenly it was snow everywhere. My cats are looking at me like, what did you do? Not my fault. Not at all. But now that you showed me the picture of those pants, my whole brain is shut down. I have no more questions, and I no longer want to think.
I made the pants that I told Dave I would make, involving the Rudy poo, and boy does it look bad. It will not make it to the store. That will never make it to the store. But oh man, it's pretty funny.
All right, I turned my volume up a little bit. Hopefully that is okay and didn't blow anything out, because mine got reset down to a very low default.
You might be capped compared to me too, because Debbie made me reset my volume during Star Wars. This is what I'm talking about. I have it capped, and every time chat has a different opinion on how it sounds. All right, I'm gonna move it down. Filter. What are we on? Solo, dummy face, filter. We have it. Oh, okay. I've got it gained. Bring that down a little bit, and put the cap at where it used to be. All right, so this should be testing. All right, it should be -25, so it should be right.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully that'll do it.
And I can move my camera over a tiny bit so I'm not so off-center to everyone if you want me to. I need to get the edge of my camera fixed because I have my green screen set up over there and I don't want to show all the...
It's totally up to you.
There we go. A little more centered in the spot.
Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. But yeah, the pants look awful. They look absolutely awful. Yeah, they won't be seeing the light of day. But just know that I did make them and they do exist. They're just dreadful.
I sound strange. How strange do I sound? Like not me?
I think you sound fine. I think the problem is, all right, so this is what I was trying to say. I have everybody set at a limiter of -25. That basically puts you right beneath being in what's called, like the yellow range when things start peaking. And during Star Wars, for whatever reason, during that stream, chat always says that I'm too low and everybody's too loud. So even though the settings are the same, they're not different. So I was told I had to accelerate my volume, which is now peaking in the red. So I'm peaking in the red. You're settled down in the green at -25, which is how it's currently set up, which is probably why you sound low.
No, well, they said I sound metallic. So let me do one thing real quick to see if this helps.
Well,
I'll save it there.
You are metallic.
I am metallic. Does that sound less metallic to everyone?
It sounds the same to me.
Back on.
You sound the same to me.
Okay. Well, then I guess they're gonna get Metal Me.
Metal Mario.
It'll be about the same. Okay, that's fine. You'll just have to live with metal me.
You sound normal to me. I'm not sure what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
You sound just like you did last stream, and I'm not sure what would be different.
I haven't changed anything, and yeah,
just the same. Yeah, I don't know. Well, whatever the case, I guess Metallic Frost is what you're getting today. What are you working on right now, Frost? What are we going to be writing?
I was about to write some stuff up, and tell me if I get the name of it wrong. About the Crucible, because I was trying to remember if that was the name of it, the thing where the people go and do the test.
That is the name that we have been using. I don't know that we ever really settled on anything, but in terms of least for the text and describing it and whatever, yeah, that's we've been using the Crucible as the name. Maybe that'll stick, but I know when you saw it the first time, you were like, I think we can do better. And you made a note about it.
We can come up with something. Given everything that's going on in the world and the way the names have kind of like I don't know, some of them have changed around a little bit, some of them have kind of matured, and people are comfortable with them. I think there's some tone that we could get into that name that would kind of fit the world, fit the idea a little better than just the Crucible. But yeah, I wanted to write some stuff up about it, because that was some of my questions. Is like, is it located in the world? Is it located in other dimensional space? Is it up in one of the places, the kingdoms of the gods or something? Or is it, because people have to be able to access it to go there.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I think the way I was picturing it is a physical location, and it's a structure or a building or something of some kind that you actually enter, and it functions to the, I guess, player or person experiencing it as a bit of a mega dungeon that is a test for godhood, but it's supposedly, the way I pictured it is it's kind of different for everybody who goes through. Nobody's going to have the same like experience as the last person. It's a personal test of you and your character and what have you. So yeah, it's a physical location. Anybody can travel there, but just walking into the building doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to happen. Like, it has to be by invitation.
Okay. So you could visit and not have anything happen. You could visit and be undergoing tests, but yeah, there may be other reasons for going there too. Okay.
Yeah, so there could be there are other ways that we could structure that. That was just my initial thoughts on it, right? Was the idea that anybody can make their way there, but you know, if you could walk, it's kind of like a magic room in a sense. Like, you walk into it and it's just a hollowed out area, but if you were invited, if the gods decided, okay, we're going to let you take the Crucible and give you a shot at apotheosis, then when you walk through, it's a totally different experience. Stuff's going to happen to you, but it could just be that it's always open. You could walk in any time, but it's heavily guarded, maybe, so you can't just walk in unaccosted. I mean, there's multiple ways you could do it, but I'm not like set on any one.
Do we think the keepers are the ones who made it then, or is it the gods made it?
So this is actually made by the gods.
Okay.
Because the whole reason it existed was because they had a couple gods willy-nilly ascend a few people to godhood. A few of them we haven't announced yet. And one of them went really well. All right, that was Nya. Nya was he ended up being an excellent choice and really, did well. And then a god we haven't announced yet got godhood and didn't use it for great purposes. And really soiled his name and soiled the experience for the other gods. And because of that, they were like, okay, we can't just be, no more singular judgments, no more of us just ascending people and using up this spark of divinity to bring people to godhood. It needs to be a mutual agreement among the godly court. And then they actually have to prove their mettle and character by going through a test. The Crucible is what I'm calling it right now.
Okay, that works. Because yeah, the other thing you had asked me to do is possibly write up the other god that we had talked about, and I was like, well, first step to that is trying to figure out where this is at and how it might work, and I think it's going to be fun to challenge, the set of beings that you talked about, of getting that all kind of figured out, how that would be a challenge and how that would all work out for that being. I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. So,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
getting
particularly
questions
excited about
answered,
that.
oof, this could be fun. But I know you mentioned goblins when you were talking about things. You mentioned orcs, and I think did you mention hobgoblins? I'm assuming they all exist in the world.
They exist. Hobgoblins exist, and gnolls. Gnolls was the other thing that I kind of wanted to hit as well.
That's what it was. All right, I'm going to put that in my note here because I didn't remember that one. Okay. And are there also in this world then bugbears?
I planned on there being them. I'm kind of looking into that because I'm not as familiar with whether or not those are protected IP or not, or if those are things that are, I don't know if there's real world lore or mythology about things like bugbears, if that's something I can pull from or not.
I mean, people call it like, oh, that's a real bugbear, and blah, 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 talking about a conundrum or a weird thing or something you got into. But then I know there's mythology about them, but I don't know if they resemble the D&D version.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just like digging on that one. They're not so important that I feel the need to shoehorn them in if there might be a legal risk there. But yeah, I got to figure it out.
Okay, that makes sense.
I know for sure the other stuff is got enough wiggle room that it doesn't matter. They're in all sorts of lore. So
okay, and then for the I know we had talked about the tome of threats that you were discussing, whether or not it was going to be agnostic or not agnostic, but then do you think the creatures that I've been coming up with and some of the people, brainstormed and we come up with some ideas and then I finally created these creatures for the world, we would put them in here in an appendix, or would we now put them all in the tome of threats?
I'm still kind of divided on that one. I think my plan is still to put them in the tome of threats as it kind of being a bonus point, or like whatever. Hey, you're buying the setting. Also, here's some unique creatures for that setting that are only found in this book. But yeah, I just decided on the actual tome of threats as well as the Legend Seeker guide. I could just, I was thinking I was going to go agnostic and then just have references to some of the characters for like the classes, but otherwise it's an agnostic thing. Right. But there's really no point to it. No other system really does that has a setting. They at least use it as a default reference point, and then they just put in the notes of, by the way, all these things can be stripped down for your homebrew or whatever other setting you're using, but this is the lore for our setting with these creatures. Okay. So that's the approach I'm taking with it. So the Tome of Threats, when you read the lore about the creature, for example, the gelatinous pyramids, they're specifically going to reference, for example, the Brothers of the Veil and why they were created and what their natural properties are and stuff. And so that'll tell you in the setting, that's what these things are, where you'd find them and what they are. But you can just take the stat block of the creature itself and put it wherever you want and ignore all that if you want to.
That's cool. If you see me change color here, I'm trying to turn off my auto exposure on my camera to see if that helps the blurriness issue they're seeing.
Oh, that's not on you. That's going to be on me. So the reason that is, you're going to be a little bit blurry because the way our setup is right now, I basically zoomed in on you.
Oh, okay.
And you're because on my screen chat, it's showing everything. It's showing him in a little corner with his text in the center or whatever. So I just zoomed in on him and cropped the box. So he's going to be a little bit blurry in here. We're gonna figure out a better way to do this. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, cool.
I think what I might do, just to give you an idea, Frost, I think we'll work out of the Google Doc next time. And I'll just capture the Google Doc, and I have the blur filter, so I'll just use the blur filter on mine. But since we were doing that last second, I didn't have time to get that set up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm working on the local one, so what I'm normally going to be doing is just throwing it into the Google Doc, because I normally don't work out of the Google Doc, so I'm like, save, and just keep saving. But yeah. I could always work out of the Google Doc when I'm streaming too. I just generally,
or just doing this stream in particular. I mean, this is the one where that's going to matter.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'm gonna mention that this is on Erudia. Erudia. I'm gonna get it right someday. Yeah, I was having fun when I was reading through some of the stuff that I'd written up before, thinking, "Oh, how is this gonna play?" And thinking, "Oh boy, what are the things that players are gonna do with these?" Because I have on the island, the Umbral Atoll, I have the Kruru, Kru, that's the croaking sound the little amphibian guys make. They're the amphibian bipeds. They're not really a bullywug, but they're like a tropical whatever these creatures that are kind of the fallen version of their former race. So, and the former people that owned the island were the Kerr, the KRR, the Kerr. And so they were the really smart version of them, and now there's the kind of not as smart version of them that lives everywhere on the island. And I'm like, they're going to be really entertaining, and I'm like, somebody is going to want to play one of these things.
You know they will. You know they will. It'll probably be homebrew stuff, though. Well, we won't make that easy for you, but I'm sure somebody will want to play one of those.
Yeah, I had a couple people ask me questions because they know I'm working on this. And they said, "Well, are you guys leaving things open for homebrew people?" And I said, "Well, of course. It's not like there's going to be a lock on things and going, if you change this, we're going to send the Pinkertons for you."
Yeah, it's no different than the way D&D and Pathfinder and all these other properties handle it. Their books, they reference their own lore, but obviously people homebrew off this stuff all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. I was trying to remember, there was a Greek word. Yeah, okay. Testing for God. Okay. Let me check something out here once. All right, there we go. Save that off. I gotta pull my thesaurus link back up because I just closed it again. I'm really good at closing tabs unintentionally. This probably doesn't help that I have like 35 tabs open. Don't send the Pinkertons. And happy birthday, Dragon.
Happy birthday. He's a little mad at me right now because we were supposed to be starting our private game, but one of the people who were in it backed off and decided they didn't want to play. And so he was excited to play his first session on his birthday, and it didn't work out.
And it didn't work out. Yeah, sometimes people can be fickle. Humans. What are you going to do with them?
They are fickle.
I'm trying to think, because I've been playing around with adding more things here and there in the map. I'm trying to think of a good place where we could put the Crucible that its distance is a barrier, but also not going to stop you completely, because I could put it out in the Lost Kingdom, the kingdom that was just pretty much destroyed, and the rivers are all dried up and it was destroyed for the most part. Out here somewhere, could have it somewhere out in the Azure Kingdom, but that was closed off.
My map's no longer accurate, but that's all right.
Yeah, because and let's see. Well, I could temporarily here while I'm doing this. I could do this. I could temporarily. Oops, I moved the wrong thing there. That's not what I want to move. I want to move this. I could temporarily move it here, but then move it in front of my face. So then you can see a little bit of it. So I have up near the Azure Kingdom over here, there's Lost Acadia, the kingdom that was pretty much destroyed by the people being, hedonistic and foolish and stupid. That there are rumors that people will come back to that's just, a wasteland now and dried up rivers. It could be out here somewhere up near this. I mean, the other idea was we put it somewhere out here in the expanse of the End Mother, so if you go out there then and you meet Mordecai's psychopomp, then you've gone too far. But the other option, even though I have a lot of stuff happening there, is on the Umbral Atoll, because that's where the people were who got turned into the Soul Forge originally had their kingdom, and the ruins of their kingdom are still there that they left behind. And there's a gate there between that and Xanatha. So
where's Senna's Falls again? Senna's Fall?
Senna's Fall is right here, right next to Fryland, down by the Whitewood. It's south of Las Valara and very close to Eldwin, where all the horrible vampire stuff have happened.
It's so central to everything, but I kind of like the thematic nature of maybe having it there, because she was the goddess of transformation and change, and if it was like kind of honoring her and also representing the transformation and change from mortal to divine.
That makes a lot of sense. And I have the main mountain here, and I was trying to find something to put in it, because I'm like, I made a massive mountain that retained its structure even after she fell and created, her body transformed this whole thing into the Red Canyons. I'm like, it could.
Maybe in that mountain could be. I mean, it's not as barren or isolated as we wanted, but we could make the mountain climb treacherous. And like I said, you can go up and see it all you want, but depending on how we decide we want it to function, it could just end up being a sightseeing tour for you if you're not actually invited.
Exactly. It's like, you get to see the storefront, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a label here, and I'm going to get that text changed and drop that size down. We'll put the crucible out here just for the moment. Yeah, we'll just move it on top of the mountain just for ease of finding it. There we go. All right, now we'll hide map, have my face shown again, much to everyone's chagrin. In the mountain, exactly. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right, so that's what I'm going to be typing up here, because I think that the more we get these things figured out, the more story hooks we're going to be giving to everyone. Because every time I've been running through here and just reading and talking with chat during these streams, I'm like, somebody could come up with this. And we had the joke of like looking through the caustic strand and talking through all the stuff. They have the people, they're bleaching their arms and feet by being in the pools day and night for work all the time. So their olive skin is all bleached out. But also having those pools be a place where these the pool lizards live, these kind of like Komodo dragons, but they're pale, almost albino things that live in the pools and hide in there just so they can, get prey. So the people who go work in the pools don't always see them, so they have sticks where they'll like prod down in there and make sure there aren't lizards in their way. And we're like, there's got to be an old dude, and we get a little drawing of an old dude with this stick like chasing a lizard out of one of the pools. Because there has to be an old dude who's chasing an albino lizard out of a pool.
There has to be, of course. Stay off my lawn!
Exactly. I have in one of the places, I don't remember where I put it. I think it was in the Menford, or the Merry Maiden, the place that I made with Michaela as the little halfling barmaid, or the bar mistress who owns the place. There's a soul forged who lives there, but he sells chickens to people and maintains chickens, and that's what he does. And that is how he makes his living. And I'm like, it's Dave. For some reason, it just made me scream, oh God, that's totally got to be Dave. He's just selling chickens.
Wait, why is there suddenly an echo?
Why is there and now gone? Weird.
Okay, that's very weird. Don't know. Actually, you know what we could do? Let's make it a really unique, something I really want to start trying to do as we're going through this is finding ways to make things unique and spectacular in some way. So we could take this citadel and not just have it be a place on the mountain, but maybe it's a hallowed mountain. So you have to make the climb to find the entrance and then descend. And then there's like a very, we'll have to think of the description, but a very beautiful, illuminated, like hollowed out cavern in the mountain where this sunken citadel is kept. I think that would be interesting. Give it just a little bit more of a unique flair.
Yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun, especially if the caverns you go through are kind of like you're walking through a massive, a geode, is that what they're called? Or if you crack the rock open, you look inside that massive crystal caverns and things like that.
Yeah, and you could really get a unique, like, luminous crystal or fungi or something that creates like this like beautiful, spectacular cavern with a long, like winding, treacherous, no rails or anything. Walk to the citadel itself. It's out in the middle of this hollowed out mountain area. There could even be a guardian of some kind that maybe lives in that hollowed out area. Something, not necessarily a dragon, but just something unique. I'd have to think about what it would be.
Yeah. That could be fun.
A guardian, the guardian of the. We could call it the hollowed crucible or the hollowed citadel, something like that. I think would be a interesting. That might be a better name than the crucible. Yeah, I think I like that.
Think about that too. It would be fun because it would almost be like you're have to deal with the like the what would you call it? The what's the word I'm thinking for it? The scion of the mountain, the spirit of the mountain, whatever the representative. It's basically it is the place, the mountain, but it's manifested some way. Would be interesting if you could figure out a way to get that to work.
Yeah, and if there was ever a supplement or something where players could actually go to this place, or maybe it was part of an adventure somehow, it would be a much more interesting setup. Having to scale the mountain, that would be part of the adventure, then descending in, encountering the thing that's around the citadel, and then going into the citadel itself would be like a really like drawn out epic journey, not just a hey, we showed up here. I think that would be good.
We had the Eagles fly us up and drop us off. It's fine. Yeah, I like that the entrance would be hard to find, but Dave, yeah, that makes sense. Uh-huh. Dragon Noodle Soup says you need a monument dedicated to Erudi's bald spot.
I don't have a bald spot, so I don't know what it would actually be a monument to. It would just, be a blank spot in the middle of a pocket of air?
There you go. It's a place that doesn't exist.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. And so, yeah, that's something else I want to look at too. So I know you've been making these cities and stuff. And so at some point we want to try to think of ways to make them. Because, like, for example, in the D&D setting, each of these places, they do have something about them that is like exceptionally notable in the lore. Like, Waterdeep, there's a staff buried somewhere under the main castle that wards off dragons. Dragons can't actually attack Waterdeep because of that. Baldur's Gate is Baldur's Gate. It's got its cult issues. It's the port of trade. A lot of history there that makes it unique with the Patriarchs and older Ravengard and things like that. So I want to find ways to kind of make some of these locations like the more prominent or iconic areas and create things that once it comes time to start making art for the cities, because that is going to be coming up, that we have some interesting ideas to feed to the artists.
Exactly. Yeah. In one of the streams, I went in a lot of detail because I started writing up Condensif, the capital in the Azure Kingdom along the river. And that city is old, it's large, it's sprawling. There are different wards going from the gates towards the palace, and it's very segmented off. But one of the things I wanted to put in there was a massive river harbor, because that river is huge and wide and flowing, and that's their way, that's their lifeblood, and that's what takes things out to the ocean. And it's not an ocean port, but it's massive. And I looked at the port of Carthage, because that one was amazing, because it had the circular harbor in it where it could hold hundreds of ships and repair them. And it's visible, or would be visible from like the sky if you were flying over, because it's massive. And that kind of an idea of the round harbor with the breakwater and the harbor hooked into it, and having another smaller circular harbor next to it where they have basically naval like races, kind of like a Circus Maximus for people who race their boats on their water. And we put a whole bunch of stuff in there. The chat was having fun chatting with me about that one. So that kind of stuff, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, we got to start making these cities unique, interesting. Like Xandria on Agrim, that has the lexicon, which is going to help, but it has tons of Romanesque things like the baths and the temples. And I have, in a few different places, I have it talked about, like if there's a Temple de Grix, like one of the cities, the Temple de Grix is a damned place. It's like nobody goes near it, because it's like, well, we can't tear it down. Can't tear it down because there's still power of some sort there, but nobody goes near it. But in another city, there is a Temple de Grix, and there are a few adherents who still hang out, and everyone's just like, just don't talk to those guys. Just don't go in there if you want to not be seen in bad company.
Yeah. Worshipping Grix is it's in certain places, especially, it's very taboo. It's like being a Death Eater in Harry Potter or something. It's you're not looked upon very fondly.
No. Oh man, what is this word I'm trying to? Incarnadine? Is that what it was? I think that's it. Yeah. I gotta go look up a word. I could go cerise. Maybe I'll go with that. I'm trying to find a good name for this peak. I'm just throwing some words together. The entrance to the, whatever we're gonna call it, this crucible thing, the hallowed crucible, the crucible.
Hollowed Citadel, Hollowed Crucible, something like that. Really.
Put it in here in 3 different names, so I have all the names in this one entry, just so I won't forget them.
Yeah, we can land on something for sure. What about you, chat? Do you have any questions that you're curious about? Whether it be the lore, about the gods, about mechanics, the setting. We'll try our best to answer whatever questions we can for you.
What do you think about having the entrance to this on the top of this mountain, where before you even go down into the hollowed place where you're going to go, of having a couple of things guarding it, but they're automatons of Vulcan, since he was her father, and this is technically a place that was kind of in her honor, but also the idea of her. But he may have put the Guardians in place here at the behest of the gods.
Yeah, I think so.
He had made the bodies that became the Soul Forge, so he may have any number of other types of automatons and creations.
I think that would make sense. Yeah, and he was the one that made the Soul Forge. So that's definitely in his wheelhouse.
We call it the hidden entrance.
Pneumatic Soul Forge that travel through waterways. That's true. They probably don't need to breathe. They also probably sink like a rock.
Yeah, I have a couple of notes in, especially in the Soul Spires, that when people are going through, you can see in the pools Soul Forge, if you just walk down into the lakes, and they're just there standing. Because
Yeah, they've gone
and they're
still.
just like, would be fun. Okay. I wonder if the hidden entrance to the crucible's got. I'm calling it Mount Cerise at the moment. I was going to call it Mount Incarnadine because that's a nice reddish color, but Cerise is a little more like cherry or colorful. So, and it also has that idea of like something that blooms. So I'm like, I think that makes sense for her.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, the whole place has got a lot of red, lots of reds. Hmm. Oops. Yeah, the only underwater, well, I shouldn't say the only. The two underwater civilization things I have in there are the unpleasant things that are in the abyss where Thalassia what used to be, and yeah, those things are very nice. And the Kruru on the Umbral Atoll because they have a floating city that is a floating city that moves around the Umbral Atoll in the wake of the storm that covers the whole place. So their city floats around the whole thing, but they have an above water city and a below water city attached to the same platform because well they're amphibious, and they just go wherever the tide takes them because it keeps them orbiting the island basically forever. So they'll be fun. As long as you have a potion of water breathing, you're good.
Yeah, like you need a way to breathe first. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And don't hop off the edge if you're a soul forge because yeah, you'll be boop. You're gone.
I like the idea of maybe that floating fortress island or whatever being like some lore behind it that's not easy to find. You can't just scry it to where.
Yeah. Well, and see, the thing is that I have the Umbrella Atoll be the place not only where the Soul Forge were first created, the old civilizations were there that were destroyed beforehand, the Kerr, who became whatever, and they left all this crazy stuff behind. Kind of like some of the Land and Lost ideas. They have those pylons there where people can, bond with dinosaurs if they can manage to get to it. So they get, I'm going to become a dino rider, or they can change the weather in a local area because it's these weird old magical keeper powers. There's a keeper's vault, but that's where Thalassia just said, we're going to close this place off. And that's why she put the ever hurricane around it, the storm that never goes away. And that's inside there. That's why the Krur's little city just keeps going around the island because there's like, it just rides around on the currents. And it could be that too. The storm and everything totally messes it up so nobody can actually find it. If you see it, you're like, hey, we can go out to it, but we got to get to it. Get there.
What would have been the design of being of a being that the Soul Forge would have evolved from, like a beta test? It's a good question. So one thing about the Soul Forge, and I don't even know if I've talked to you about this actually, there's not just one model, quote unquote, of the Soul Forged. There are some that kind of like, I would say, are the face of the Soul Forge in the same way that like the Stormtroopers were for the Empire. But there's more than one functional construct out there. So there might be like some four-legged, almost like dragoon style version of Soul Forged out there. They're not playable. It's not a playable character race. But there are other like functional versions of Soul Forged out there that people were put in. So they're probably based off like a wide variety of beings and creatures. Some of them maybe even lost to the passages of time.
Yeah, because I think Volcan, obviously, it's got a creation and innovation. He would have had a lot of things, and I kind of hint that sure he had these, the ones that Crick stole, but it would be the one he had the most of the Cricks would have stolen, because he wouldn't have gone, just grab everything. He's like, I'll grab all these, because they're most of them, and they're probably the most compatible with the human soul. But he would have had so many different prototypes and other things there, like big ones, small ones, weird ones, that nobody's ever seen. Or maybe people did see him during the war fighting against the Soul Forge. Who knows? Imagine some very large ones, like giant-sized ones and whatnot.
Yeah, and they're more rare, the bigger ones and stuff. But yeah, they could definitely be out there. And I mean, Grix didn't get his hands on everything, so there's probably even prototypes of just mindless golems and automatons and stuff that were never amongst the rank and file of Soul Forge to begin with. I got the idea from parties that can everyone play as the same race. A party of 4 forts that don't need. Oh, okay. That could be a unique situation. The Soul Forged are not free, but still enslaved souls, right? Yes and no. They're not enslaved, so their will is still their own, but they are bound to their vessel. And it's not like a normal body; it never expires. So either they've got to be destroyed. Essentially, the structure they're in has to be destroyed for their soul to be released, and they're not easily destroyed.
So they're free beings now. They can do whatever the heck they want, but the one thing they can't really do is die exactly. That's why they go still.
Yes. And something that I've been toying with, and this idea is courtesy of Queen Shira Chrysanth, is the idea that these souls are like compact and like really just trapped deep down inside of these constructs. Like you really got to hack into them and destroy them before the soul's gonna be released. But there's so much just like compact magic and force, and the soul is just so compact in there. When you destroy them, there's like a concussive blast that actually knocks people back. It's not necessarily like a damaging blast. It's not going to be like a shrapnel grenade or something like that, but it's enough to knock you off your feet and wind you. Let's see. Dragon Joseph says, are there psionic magics? I need to know for my character. So, I need to find this for myself real quick. Before I answer this question. I want to say yes, but not available to everyone. All right, it does include this. Okay, so yeah, so the monks specifically, the Saren monks, they have psionics, and it's built into their class. So something that I haven't talked a lot about yet, but mechanically, martial classes are going to have a resource pool called momentum. And each class has their own way of building momentum. So, for example, a monk, for example, if they get, say, 2 successful strikes in a single turn, might earn 1 point of momentum. And then you can spend that momentum to do something truly great. So either like a really cool advanced combat maneuver, or use some sort of special ability, or in the case of monks, you're releasing your ki using telekinesis and psionic energy. So they have access to all these different talent trees and stuff where you can pick these sort of psionic styled abilities that allow you to do things like knock people backwards, or suspend yourself in the air, or do impossible leaps over chasms that physically you would normally never be able to do, or concentrate psionics at a certain focal point and cause like an outward concussion or something. Lots of things like that will be available to them.
They'll be able to, hold a wet towel and dry it off with their mind, because that's a really critical power.
Yes, or float an apple to your girl crush. I mean, those are definitely things you could definitely use your psionics for.
And totally it wouldn't look like CGI, bad CGI.
Not at all. Not at all.
Soulforge is a potential playable or too hard to kill for players to play. I believe Soulforged are playable.
Yes, Soulforged are playable. I need to catch up here. So things like light infantry hoplites, I don't know if that was in reference to Chrysanth.
Types of constructs.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's going to sort of play into the same question then. They are playable. Right now, the way I'm looking at having it structured, there are two types of Soulforged. Kind of not male-female, but just two different versions that are available to the player, a Type A and a Type B, in an actual normal sense, not in the gender sense. And the Type 1 is the model that's built more for being sort of like a Stormtrooper or a hoplite or something that was built for frontline combat. And then the other has a bunch of like crystals and stuff ingrained into its structure, and it was used more for spellcasting warfighting. And uses those crystals to tune to the mana stream and things like that, and that's how they access their powers. So those will exist, but those are the only two types. The other ones aren't available.
It's good to know.
No, they're definitely destroyable. It's just it's not as easy as I don't know, like breaking a toy or a wooden structure or something. Like you actually have to fight these things and do some significant damage to them. So they're kind of tanky in the same way that like a orc or a I always forget what the name of a Goliath or something like that would be. Like they're beefier, but you can definitely destroy them.
I meant to ask, raise the question. I don't know if you have this information on hand, or if you'd have to go look at what you've written, or if it's something you don't want to reveal right now. For anything, creatures, people, whatever, are you going to be going with the idea of like resistances, vulnerabilities, invulnerabilities to certain types of damage? Like, hey, they're susceptible, it's a scarecrow, he's susceptible to fire. Or he's a Soulforged, he's immune to gas.
Yeah, those things will certainly exist. There'll definitely be resistances, immunities, weaknesses. Those are all in there for sure.
Okay, cool. And I didn't know how those worked with the fact that you can, get the what I'm trying to remember what they're called when you get the success die that goes kaboom. Not exploding by the degrees of success that you were talking about.
So a regular critical hit is the one that gets the cascading dice. Whenever you roll a natural 20, that deals something called critical damage, which just basically mimics the base damage. So if your base damage was slashing, the critical damage is just slashing all the way up.
Okay.
So that is what that does. The degrees of hitting is just I haven't decided the intervals yet, but essentially like getting a raise in Savage Worlds. When you roll enough over the hit class, you get an extra die of damage for each time you do that. Okay. And same concept, it's going to be whatever the base, and the base is considered what the most of the dice is. So if you had a flaming sword, for example, and it did 2d8 slashing and 1d6 fire, for example, then the 2d8 slashing would be the damage that it reflects. So that would be the idea behind it.
Interesting. Okay. So you're telling me there's a chance I could miss my attack and not be the hero to hit on every attack and do damage on every attack?
Yes, you can actually miss in this game. Yeah, man, there's a game that just put out. Hey, to each their own, but the system is designed that you never miss. You always hit, no matter what. Your attack roll is just dealing damage, and I hate that concept so much. Like, so much of storytelling is in your failures too. I fail all the time. Whether I'm a DM or a player, and I still have fun, and I think it adds to the story. So I've never understood that concept.
Yeah. Oops.
Are there any racist species for players in other games, D&D, Pathfinder, etc., that will not be in Legend Seeker? Yes. Anything that is monstrous that would normally be playable in something like D&D, you're not going to see. So, at least as of right now, my philosophy is I really don't want monstrous races to be a playable thing, because that's when you get into the weird stuff where you get activists and stuff starting to say, oh, well, they can be good. There's a spectrum. Look, if you're a playable character, why would it be, they're monsters for a reason, and it's not just because they're ugly looking. They're a plague on society. They're dangerous. Something about their biological instincts or cultural beliefs is not congruent with people living in a good, cohesive, civilized existence. So I don't believe in having them be playable characters. And there are some that are just so fundamentally evil and vengeful. Like, for example, there's no drow, because drow are a thing that exists in an IP, for starters. But we do have dark elves in our universe, and they are not nice people. They're very evil, and they're twisted because of what happened to them and how they became to be. There is no good version of those people. It is ingrained into their society, into their belief system, and down to their DNA after like the magical crap that happened to them. So they would never be a playable race. Now, maybe a half race. We might, with half elves, have some variants on that. But yeah, a full-on dark elf, you're never going to play as. A full-on orc, you're never going to play as. Those are monstrous races, and that's where they'll stay.
That's where they stay. Chris Ant wanted me to send you. I'm going to send you this in DM. I was messing around in Forge, and I was like, oh, I'm going to roll. And it just went blurp, 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 blurp. It was just like I don't even know what I rolled for. God, when it was like a healing roll or something. It just kept rolling sixes. Oh, and I missed a couple of them on the deck.
Let me see.
It exploded like 7 times. And I missed a couple of dice. I just realized in the screenshot it's only showing 5 of the D6s, not the other 2 D6s that were 6s.
That's already a lot. Dang.
I was like, okay, well, 25 on a roll. That was pretty good. And then I rolled the second, it wasn't 25. It was 31. It was 37. Or no, was this the 37? I rolled a 25 on another roll. And I thought that was this roll. Wait, maybe this is the one that only exploded 5 times. One of the things it was a raise on a damage, because when a monk does a raise damage, they get D10 for the raise damage die, and the D10 just kept going. And
yeah, it can get pretty wild.
It was like 42 or 48 or something like that. I was like, that's a lot of wounds on somebody.
Yeah, that would be brutal. And this system will certainly have the ability to have. So I know somebody's concern was that the criticals in this system, you're only getting an extra D6, and then they can cascade, but it's only 1 extra dice. And the odds of them cascading, is it really going to be as cool as doubling your damage? Yes, because also when we have our raise system, where you're getting additional D6 for every amount you go over, it's a bigger pool of dice than you're thinking. So it has the potential to get really spectacular and insane and make a critical hit really feel like a critical hit. And to answer Chris Ant's question, wouldn't people be concerned over Soulforged and Mums, though? Both are very not natural. It's not necessarily the not being natural part. Monstrous races can't fit into normal society because their biological imperative is different, their alignment is different, or even just their biological functions. Like if they I don't know, have to feed off of humanoids for some reason. I don't know. I'm just trying to make something up. Then it would make sense. Soulforged are just people trapped in a different vessel, so they do have a broad range of alignments and personalities and whatever the case might be. Now, there are people who are prejudiced against Soulforge because they'll never see them as anything than what they were during the wars, but they aren't monstrous necessarily. They do have a broad range of actual alignment in the lore that would function in society, and they work towards that. They actively work towards that. That is a big part of their racial story, is this desire to be accepted and atone for what they were forced to do. Same with mums and same with lizard folk. In some games, lizard folk are just always barbaric. Ours, in the lore for lizard folk, for us, they actually have a wide range of alignment. There are some that are more spiritual and more cultured and actually do live in civilized society and big cities and stuff, but they do have a tribal barbaric side of them too, but that range exists in the lore.
Yep. And the way I have the lizard folk right now, I have the lizard folk in 2 different places right now. I have them in Ishvara. They were forced out of the Soul Spires when it got corrupted. So they're kind of stuck between the Soul Spires, the coast, and like the Elven land. They don't want to go in any of them. And I also have the mums and treants up there in kind of those floodplains. But I also have the barbarian tribes on the Atoll are all lizard folk of different types. Those are the ones that worship like the spider, the one that's we talked about that has the Skyfall, which she releases her brood into the storm and it flings them all across Erudi. Flings them all across horrifying thinking of all the primordial spiders, babies getting launched out into the world. Those lizard folk are the barbaric lizard folk, and they do whatever they do to survive on that island. Very different from the ones on the main coast who want to kind of just survive.
Yeah. So it's and as Dragon Noodle Soup said, it's down to it comes down to lore. Like for me in D&D, for example, I'm not upset of the idea that you can have good orcs. That's not the inherent problem. The inherent problem is the established lore for that setting. Has been since the existence of this game that orcs are evil. They were born from the flesh of an evil god and bioengineered by this god to be destructive, to pillage, to grape, to do all that stuff. They are not capable of actually being good. So when they started changing that, yeah, that was a problem. I did not like that.
Why do we have a double echo? Why would we have that?
I don't know. There shouldn't be. I haven't changed anything.
For the writing, that's not bringing in audio?
No. No. I mean, if it was, it would have been doing it the whole time. So I don't know where that echo's coming from. But I'm going to go off camera for just 1 second. I'll be right back.
Go for it. All right. So what I've been writing here right now is the Crucible. I'm just sticking with the Crucible in the lettering right now. It's a testing site for apotheosis located physically on Erudia, place made by the gods of Erudia to test the worthiness of mortals. I'm going to get rid of a couple words there. For ascension to godhood. Hidden entrance to the Crucible is located at the peak of Mount Service, guarded by automatons of Vulcan, ensuring that only the mightiest clever. Let's see, most clever. I might reword that. And persistent immortals gain access. Once past these outer guardians, mortals are not being tested for apotheosis. If they have not been approved for a trial, they can still penetrate the mountain and visit the Crucible, but they will not engage the god's magics. The inner mountain is a long series of astounding geological features, the path through them leading visitors towards the hall, where they'll be tested, which is guarded by the sign of Mount Ceres herself, in Cardinai, an ancient nature elemental. If bested, she allows visitors to proceed onwards towards the chamber where the testing begins. Those not on the path can still visit, not be trigger a trial. Okay, there we go. I got it. It's hurting your head. I'm sorry, it's hurting your head. I wonder why. So, am I echoing right now, Dave? Yeah, it's fun. You see me behind Erudi's blank camera there. It's kind of fun. I can turn my camera off temporarily. I can do that. Look at that. Now you only got one of me. Oh, wait. No, you got none of me. You got none. I'm echoing. Why would I be echoing? Let me do something once. So could you guys hear me talking there? Okay, good. Yeah, I was trying to turn it off to see if it did anything. Okay, interesting. Huh. I don't know. I've only got one camera. I've only got one microphone. Video is weird. Let's just say that. That reminds me, I've got a reminder to me to go get my garbage cans in a little bit, so I'm going to...
Okay, I'm back.
All right. Yeah, they said I was echoing, so I don't know. But
You're still
I'm
echoing?
at the point where my hour is done, so I'm going to have to hop off to go get my garbage cans and do stuff tonight. But
okay. Well, in that case, we can just wrap here. That's fine. I'll come back on here.
Okay.
That actually works out because I was just realizing I have not eaten today. I was supposed to eat between our streams. I didn't get around to doing it, so maybe I'll get off here. I'll eat, and if I have the availability and I feel like I'm allowed to do so, maybe I will also stream something else. I'll think about it. But cool. What will you be up to? Huh?
Don't forget to send me like if you have a specific email you want me to send you, I can send you that that invite through the factor stuff. So I can always just let me know which email you want me to put in there because it'll go through their website and they'll send you a little link.
If you know my PayPal email, just use that one.
Oh, okay. Yep, I think I know that one. And if it doesn't get to you, then I'll know that it never got to you.
Wonderful.
We'll find it. But yeah, I'm gonna be. Well, people can find me on my links on my link tree, and generally I'm mostly here doing the stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Occasionally, I'm on some other streams doing some other games. You can find me. You know where I'm at. You guys know where I'm at.
Wonderful. And yes, you can definitely find me here where I'm at. Also over on Moonskull. Those are the two places. Got lots of cool stuff coming up, guys. Not this Friday, but the Friday after is going to be the launch of Strange Aeons. That is our new Savage Pathfinder campaign we're going to be doing. Froste and I are both on there. So is Chrysanth. She's out there in chat right now. Hello, Chrysanth. She's going to be on there with us, and Noelle will be DMing. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just got the intro video today, and it looks slick. I'm going to tell you, it looks slick. It's not Alaska Jeff this time. It still turned out really good. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you haven't already, go look on Moonskull. We've started putting up the character art. You can go see it. Is there anything else regarding Legend Seeker I need to say right now? I'll be doing another Q&A here soon. Nothing on the top of my head. All right, yeah. So that's all I got. Thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye, guys.